This video is to help you understand the steps to installing subfloor tiles. So we're looking down on the floor of a room here from the ceiling, and all subfloor tiles are square. So it doesn't really matter what brand you buy. They're all about the same size, and they're all the same shape. Now, the first thing you have to understand is that you can't trust any of the walls to be straight enough to guide you with the placement of these tiles. So you're going to want to snap a chalk line fairly close to the wall, maybe a quarter of an inch away or so. And that's your reliable reference line. You'll want to maintain that quarter-inch gap too with some spacers when the tiles go down, because you don't want the tiles jamming up against the wall. You want a little bit of clearance there. The tiles aren't going to get a whole lot bigger, even if they get wet, but they might get a little bit bigger. And if they're already tight to the wall, then you might have some buckling if the tiles do pick up some moisture. So quarter-inch gap is the way you want to start. But you actually don't want to lay tiles down right away, because there's something that you don't know at this early stage. What you want to do is you want to set out your first row of tiles, say along this wall here, and just push the tongue and groove joints together all the way along and see where the tile ends up, where the last tile ends up in relation to the wall. Because right here it's too narrow. Anything narrower than about 4 inches or so is too narrow of a piece to be stable on its own. So after this initial exercise, what you'd want to do is to cut off a certain amount of material here from the first tile, because whatever you cut off there, this last tile gets correspondingly wider. So I don't know, if this piece is, say, 2 inches wide now, you cut off at least 2 inches from this piece so that this littler piece is the 4 inches. And you want to do the same thing as a trial in the other direction too. Now, as it turns out, the tiles end with plenty of material there. So you don't need to cut this first tile in 2 directions. You only need to make it narrower in this example so that the whole row shifts over and you don't have some little bit here on the end that's going to be unstable and possibly give you some troubles. Another thing you want to note here is the fact that the joints are staggered from one row to another. So this joint here does not line up with this joint. This joint does not line up with this joint. I have shown it here where the joints are staggered by exactly 1 tile width, but it doesn't have to be that precise. I mean, if it staggers by at least 1/3 of the width of a tile, then that'll be fine. The results are still going to be the same. And cutting these tiles, jigsaw is an excellent option. If you're a little bit frightened of power tools, but you still want the advantage of power tools, then a jigsaw is an excellent tool for cutting these tiles. You can also use a handheld circular saw or a table saw. A table saw will do a beautiful job. And when you lay your first row of tiles down, you should get some pieces of wood or something that measure about 1/4 of an inch thick and put it in this gap, just so that the tile doesn't move around and it's not going to slide towards the wall and take up your clearance gap unexpectedly. You want to be able to rely on that. You can pull those spacers out later. When it comes time to fitting the tiles together piece by piece, it's really pretty easy. This just ordinary tongue and groove edges. There's no clicking or tilting or anything like that. But you don't want to hit the edge of any of these tiles directly with a hammer, because that's going to mush them up and they won't interlock properly with their neighbors. So just get a couple of blocks of scrap wood. You don't have to hit these tiles very hard. You can use a hammer, regular claw hammer. A rubber mallet works nice. It's a bit heavier and it delivers a bit more of a thunk. But you want to hit the blocks and not the tile directly. And so you do all these things. You do the spacers, the preliminary layout, so you're not surprised by little slivers of tile on one side of the room or the other. Maintain the gap, tap the tiles in place as they go down, and you're going to have a really good result. There's one other thing I want to mention. Whenever you come to the end of a row, you're going to have one final piece of subfloor tile to put in, and you won't be able to get around to the edge to use a hammer. So, for instance, if you've laid all these pieces here and you go to lay this last piece, it will of course be wider than shown in the drawing. You can't go here and hammer it in with your tapping blocks and things because there's a wall there. It'll be the same for the last tile in every row, and it'll also be the same for all the tiles in the last row because they're going to need to come down, and you can't drive that with a hammer. So for that, you need something called a hook tool, and that's what you see here. This is one end of the hook tool. It's hooked at both ends, and you can see this little drawing here right on the hook tool. One end hooks over the edge of the tile that's near the wall, and the other's got a taller raised bent end that you can tap with a hammer. So you're essentially using it to transfer pounding action from where the hammer is to the edge over here. It works very well, and you will also need a tool like this for installing laminate floor too. So they're not expensive. Even if you only have to install the subfloor tiles, it's well worth it, and especially if you've got some laminate to put down as well.